There we go.
All right, I'll call the meeting of the BAC to order, and I will state for the record that we have the same roll call that we had for the meeting we just completed for the IDA. And we have a minutes from our last meeting, February 13th, which are very brief. And in regard to action item 3, I think it's our intention after discussion with Jim Pierce to defer that item until we get a little further into this meeting. So other than that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 16th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 13th.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We also have the financial statement. I think it's pretty straightforward, but Robin, I defer to you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. We started out the beginning of the month with $1,167,000 in the bank with both cash and CDs. We brought in some bank interest and interest on loans, principal from the loans. We didn't show any expenses going out in February. And then we ended up the month with $1,192,886 cash and investment funds. And on the back is our loan portfolio, and we're still in good shape, other than our friend, Mr. Langer. But other than that, everything's good, and we're up to date.
Down to his last payment there.
Just looking at the first Action Enterprises entry, that goes back to 2013, is that correct, Jim?
Yes.
And what does that follow?
That was a loan. Action Enterprises is a private corporation, one of the arms of Community Action, and they borrowed money from the BAC to demolish a building on 10th Street in the village of Perry. And the money was used to demolish it, and in its place, they built a subsidized housing development there, and subsequently never paid the funding back. And the executive director at the time used the money for something else. And so every year, Community Action, they get a new executive director every year, and I always make sure they understand that they have a debt to us. And but to their credit, they have been paying us an annual interest rate since the loan stopped being paid. But even that interest rate that they interest payment is late.
Jim, is the new building, who owns that now? Is Community Action still own it, or
Where the housing is there,
Yes.
yes, they still own
is that occupied?
it. Yes. Call it Champion Place.
I was there from dedication or whatever.
But this loan was done back in, was it even Mike, or was it back when Richard was?
No, it was mine.
It was Mike. Mike Hefner was the executive director of the IDA at the time.
I think my wife was involved in that too.
Was she?
In those days. Yeah, that board.
She may have a better history of it than I do. So.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the financial statement? If not, I'll accept the motion or consider a motion to approve it.
Make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded it?
Me.
Tom? Okay, thank you.
As we had in the IDA meeting, we have an investment report, which I think is self-explanatory. instructions on the back side if you got a few minutes to read, but. I'm ready to accept the motion to approve the investment report.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the record, we essentially had the audit report as part of the IDA meetings, so the audit covered both organizations. And our 3 action item is,
Can I just get a motion to approve the BAC audit as was presented by Joe?
thank you. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make that. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, Jim, this is when you thought it'd be appropriate to go into executive
Well, I
session.
think what I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, is that Mark can start his presentation of the loan, and when he gets to the portion where he wants to talk about some of the financials,
Right.
then we move into executive session.
Okay, Mark?
We'll take his lead on when that timing is.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today to present a loan request from River Spring Lodge LLC. They're an existing business on Church Road in Darien Center. Wyoming County actually helped them acquire this property back in 2016. You did advance a $200,000 loan at that time, a mortgage when they bought the property, in addition to a bank loan at the time, and I think Jeremy Satchel was involved in that one. So they've been operating since 2016, primarily as an Airbnb. Dave and his wife also own a ministry, which also had religious events there over the years. What they'd like to do is extend what they can provide at this facility, and they're asking for a $200,000 loan again for a 10-year term at 4%. What they want to do is expand the facility at the lodge. Again, it's currently an Airbnb type property. They also have a large lobby with TV and bar, chef's table dining room, and expansive chef's kitchen. Since COVID struck in the 2000, 2001, 2, and 3, they were able to generate nearly $200,000 a year of income because they offered room service. So many travelers were able to come. Dave's wife actually served every dinner, taking them to the second floor, leaving their dinners there. They do have a small dining room or a table in every room, every suite, along with a private bathroom. They get somewhere in the $250 to $300 a night range for these suites. They're beautiful. It's on a 20-acre parcel with a large pond in front of the building. So they think the idea is here to expand so they can do weddings here. The current facility they are retrofitting the inside, much of the first floor, to accommodate small weddings. But now they want to add a building off the back of the building on the north side. It's 24 by 24, but it would have a roof and be an enclosed glass building. That would also accommodate smaller weddings, and beyond the glass building, they're planning a 500 square foot octagonal tent that would be up and down every year. They're going to have a hard ground type base underneath it, but then that'll be covered by an AstroTurf type flooring, which would have the seating and dance floor, things like that for the larger weddings. So they think they'll be able to seat up to 150 people once they get this work done and spend the monies that they're requesting. The inside space, they could do weddings year round, so they feel they could do weddings up to 115 people all year. The outside weddings, the initial estimate was that they could safely do 12 a year. They thought that was a mild or a low guess on what it would cost. David gave me all the numbers on what he thought the income would be and what the cost of goods would be and how much more help he had to buy. And I put that into all my formulas. And if you looked at the Excel spreadsheets, it took me quite a while to break it down and feel comfortable that I had done it correctly. The big part of this is that Dave wants to lease the building, the lodge, to his ministry. They're both called River Spring Lodge LLC. River Springs Ministries is a 501c3 nonprofit that Dave and his wife started in 1987. They have been taking care of this ministry and traveling cross country since 1987. It was just in 2016 that they really put roots down again, buying this lodge and working there since 2016 and also taking care of their ministry. So what they want to do is to lease it to the ministry. It would start out at $10,000 per month for year one, then increase to $12,000 per month. And what they're trying to do is move some of the income into the ministry so they can do more Christian work, help the community in other ways that the lodge can't. What they also want to do is to get some income into the ministries so that somewhere down the line, the ministries could actually buy the lodge. They are putting a lease together, a 10-year lease that would outline all the lease parameters. I had put that in my Excel too. It's pretty detailed of all the ins and outs of the lease, but technically a lease does not exist yet. So they're putting that lease together with the hopes that the ministries will take over the day-to-day operations of the lodge, pay this lease payment to River Springs Lodge, and have money left over at the end after they start taking on weddings. They know what they made historically taking on the weddings. They should double their gross income and allow both entities to have money. The lodge will continue and be liable for all the mortgage payments as well as taxes, insurance on the property. So the split seems pretty amiable. Going through the numbers several times, I think both entities can make it work. Sources and uses of funds are outlined. Dave and his entities will put in $53,358, and they're asking for a loan of $200,000. You can see where they plan on spending their funds. I did visit the venue. The additional parking lot is done. The fill-in landscaping, a lot of that has been done, so they're ready to start construction. Underground electrical, the rest of those down the line, those have not happened yet. Again, the $200,000 would be at an interest rate of 4% for 10 years. This would add another monthly payment of $2,025 roughly. As I had mentioned, Dave and Carol created their ministry in 1987. They traveled extensively until 2016. Dave is an executive chef working in Nashville, Florida, hunting lodges, Alaska, the Rocky Mountains. He has many good stories to tell of their travels. But the whole time while they were traveling, they were spreading the news of the Christian faith across America in small churches. As they worked, they went out into the community the days they didn't work and did their ministries. Again, 2016, they stopped traveling. And again, the River Spring Ministries have continued to be their primary focus. They are run by a board of directors. Dave doesn't technically run it, but he is very involved there and really keeps a strong hand on what happens there. In 2022, still during COVID, New Life Fellowship transferred control of a church and an activity hall to the River Spring Ministries. They'd lost all their members due to COVID, and the buildings were in serious disrepair. The ministries staff and followers or congregation spent their time and money, put everything back together. It's a beautiful facility now that you can rent the hall in Attica, and the church is beautiful. So again, by having the ministries lease the LLC, the ministries will increase their income, be able to do more good in the community, and that's really where Dave and Carol's focus is. They will stay on for another 2 years at least to oversee the day-to-day operations, and they hope that at some point the ministries would have the wherewithal to buy the lodge and keep income coming in perpetuity to give them more and more money to do good in the community. Again, the lease would be $10,000 in the first year, increasing to $12,000. The ministry is also buying from the lodge their logo, website, other non-real estate, non-furniture and fixture assets for $150,000. They're putting $30,000 down at the time the lease begins. The other $120,000 will be put in over a 60-month period. It's $2,000 a month for the next 5 years. River Spring Lodge currently grosses between $225,000 and $225,000 per year. With the additional wedding venue, this gross number should double. With the lease, again, the lease is going to be paid to the lodge. Then whatever the profits are from the operations, that will stay with the ministries. I broke down best I could. I gave you some historic income from Dave and Carolyn. They've always made between $65,000 and $70,000. They do collect Social Security, and they take $28,000 to $30,000. It gets paid by the lodge to them. As far as Dave's financial situation right now, on his application, he listed assets of $1,414,000. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, please.
Need a motion, Mr. Chairman, to move into executive session to talk about the financials for this of the borrower.
Did you make it?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. You're
Let's
being
move on.
We're
Yeah, I
live.
like it.
All right.
You're on camera.
That's fantastic.
I love the idea.
Are we out of executive session?
And we are running live, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it make sense to get an appraisal on the property?
At the very least.
That's what my opinion is. And if nothing else, you're protecting us, and not so much the money, is in the sense that we're just making these loans without proper consideration.
Correct, yeah.
So I think it won't hurt. And I think we might be surprised at the value of that property. I just know it. And if it's only gonna be the expense of $1,000 or $1,500, have somebody go up there and appraise it, let's do it.
Yes,
That's what I vote for.
Would the board, would we have that cost incurred or would it?
Well, if they want to continue their application, and then we could pay it. We felt it would, that way you kind of protect yourself and
Yeah.
the reputation of the IDA.
I'll second the motion.
At the expense of the borrower, the appraisal.
Eventually, yeah.
Normally, that's the case.
Yeah,
I would
okay,
think so.
yeah, okay, I wasn't sure what we were deciding.
Does that make sense, Judge? To have the borrower have the appraisal completed and then we could roll that into the cost if we vote on it?
Makes sense to me.
So can the motion include approval contingent upon appraisal and legitimate second position on the mortgage and personal guarantee
And I think a lease,
and
a proper lease for them.
properties?
But the appraiser should be considering all that as in our position total. But if I have a motion to that effect,
Make that motion.
Yeah, how do you word
Does
it?
it make sense
well, that's
to?
why we have counsel here.
Yeah.
So-
Appraisal first, and then
Second position.
So Joe's raising a good question. The question Joe's raising is does the board want to see the appraisal first before it approves the loan? And if that's what we're talking about, then that's what that would be a motion. Or I think what Jim is asking is, do we do an approval of the loan contingent upon receipt of an appraisal? And the only question there, I think, because I think that's a fair approach too, is what are we looking for in the appraisal
Right, it doesn't mention
from the
that
standpoint?
value.
So great, they get an appraisal. What if it appraises poorly, right? Where are the trigger points to come back where you might say as a board or delegating to staff, look, that appraisal's not working here, right? So Mark, I don't know if you have thoughts maybe even on how we would look at that, like.
What was done through the banking industry is called, we table it. The decision was tabled until a current appraisal could be provided. We always had the applicant pay for it because if it's not high enough or it's not looking good, he might walk away from it if you guys pay for it. I would certainly recommend, if you want me to keep going with this application, talk to whoever appraiser you like to use, and we need $1,500, and we'll decide once we see the appraisal. But it's tabled. As far as the decision was, it was just called tabled for more information until the appraisal came in.
Is time of the essence on this project?
But that's going to raise that question. I mean, the real concern is that obviously he's trying to catch some weddings. And another month is going to be probably another 60 days all told by the time we get all the loan documents. So if we table another month, we're probably looking at another 60 days. Whether or not he has anything booked, I don't know.
If it's approved contingent on, I think what Kevin's point was, is contingent on the appraisal coming in at what, like
Sufficient value. yeah,
sufficient
whatever
value?
That is.
Okay,
Or
So, like-
leave that up to judgment of staff.
Yeah.
To evaluate
Yeah.
the
Okay.
values there.
that would work, because,
Yeah.
obviously if it comes in less than enough to cover
And
us
I
and the other
wouldn't,
bank, then we're
staff and council.
Yeah.
Come back.
I wouldn't.
So the motion would be tabled with the, idea, I don't know how to word it.
I don't think
I
we're talking
think
about
if we're following on what Jim has raised here is it is a motion to approve the loan
Contingent.
contingent upon an appraisal being provided and paid for by the borrower, which presents sufficient value, I think was, right? So, and with all the other collateral we talked about, personal guarantee, we need to see the lease, those kind of things. So does that sound like a motion?
I love it.
Could we put a personal guarantee as well for his spouse as well?
That's within the board's discretion.
She's not an owner.
She's not part of the.
Typically, you just go off of who owns the borrowing entity.
And then you can leave it up by judgment as well, or our judgment.
Mr. Chairman, where do you stand on
I
this?
got about 12 motions on the. I don't know which one we're voting on.
Well,
Chairman,
there's-
I wait for you to make a motion.
Me?
There has not been a
Either
motion
chairman or
yet
vice
formally.
chairman.
Sorry, what was that?
There has not been a formal motion made. There has been discussions of motions. So
I'm all, if the appraisal comes in worth the money, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Jim knows what to do. I'm okay with it.
How do you put that into a motion?
I'll
That's what
just
I
try.
said.
I'll try it one more time, and then if someone wants to
Let
make the
council
motion, they can
propose
just
the
make the
motion.
motion.
Okay,
Okay, so
Just made a motion.
Go for it.
I'll
I
propose.
think the vice chairman just made a motion.
It's
He
gotta be
did.
dressed up.
He did, but let me see if I can get this. Okay, the motion would be to approve the loan as presented, subject to an appraisal being provided on the real estate, and that appraisal demonstrating that there is sufficient value for our second lien collateral position in the judgment of IDA staff and counsel, and also subject to personal guarantee of the borrower and the borrower providing a copy of the proposed lease. Correct. There's the motion.
So moved.
What he said.
There we go.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Heavy lifting on that one.
I think
You're not coming back next month,
Did
are
you
you?
write all that down?
That'll
It's
help.
recorded. Oh, it's recorded, perfect.
Yes, that's good.
All right, can we go back in executive session on a different matter?
Don't move.
This is with respect to the finances of a borrower corporation.
Correct, yes. We go under other business for this one as well.
You want to take the microphone off?
I'm gonna put the microphone next to you,
Get
Tom.
it
You
on
can do
me.
Solid.
Okay.
Good Lord. All right, is there any further business? If none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting, March 13th.
April 10th.
Like I said,